We know what needs to be done and why it's not happening. And I think the biggest single obstacle that the world faces at the moment in terms of building the global community we need is US hegemony. If you think about it in historical terms, I mean, Einar made the point about the US being number one. In historical terms, the US hasn't been number one for a very long time. But in human terms, there's next to nobody alive today who can remember a time when the US was not number one. And the US has a very deep need to hang on to that number one spot. The US is like an athlete, a runner, who's never lost a race. And they're obsessed with their status as always being the winner. And they now face a situation where it is certain that somebody else is going to overtake them. And they need to learn. It's having a visceral effect on that country. And they need to learn to cope with the idea that they do not have to be number one at everything all the time. Because if they don't do that, we're not going to make progress, we're not going to move forward. The things that we know need to happen are not going to be allowed to happen.
You should ask Americans if they agree with that.
That's American egoism.
I do. I mean, well, no, to take your point. Arrogance is the downfall of empires. And quite frankly, I agree with everything you just said. The problem is that what is happening in America is infectious. The poor leadership that leads to scapegoating, to looking to somebody else is at fault. It couldn't be us. Why should we reflect? It's not our fault. It's somebody else's fault. That has led in a chain reaction to poor leadership around the world. So it does matter. When you are a power, right, you have a responsibility. I mean, I'm so tired of people telling me about their rights. Where are the responsibilities? You cannot have one without the other. The US has no right to rule the world, but as the number one power, it has a responsibility to do it well. And we're not, okay? We have, if you look up the definition of a rogue nation, we often label others as rogue. What do? Well, they start wars. They undermine the international institutions, right? They disregard the rights of others, right? They impose their will on others. This, in a nutshell, is the United States. We've been involved in 81% of all the conflicts since World War II. Well, you can say, oh, we're fighting the good fight, but it's not. Nothing has improved. We are less safe today than we were after World War II, after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So there needs to be self-reflection in the United States before anything can happen. Because if the US does not want to play, I do not know how you can bring the world together.